Vikings will look to have the luck of the Irish this Sunday as they head across the pond to Dublin to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pregame starts at 6:30 a.m. Catch every touchdown, every sack, and every game-changing play right here on the audio home for Minnesota Vikings football, KFAN, and on the go with the free iHeartRadio app.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He is 10B. I'm about to ask you something personal.
Okay.
Earlier in the program, when I asked you a personal question, you refused to answer, and you have every right to do that. We'll see if you do it here. During that last break, I went to the... have you ever called it a lavatory before?
Sure.
When was the last time you used the word lavatory? I've never uttered that word out of this. That's the first time I've ever said the word lavatory. I've always called it a bathroom.
The worst part is once you have kids, you start calling it potty all the time, then it's hard to reprogram your brain back into bathroom.
Yeah.
So I went to the potty. That's what you're asking?
And you beat me to it, and you were leaving, and our restroom here, I generally go with restroom now, but our lavatory, our bathroom, our restroom. By the way, a close circuit to Chad Abbott. This is going to be a great segment, so even though you don't like it because you want me to be talking Vikings, but guess what? We're talking bathrooms. Here at iHeartMedia on the 5th floor, 2 stalls, 2 urinals. Yeah. It's a 2-stall, 2-urinal unit, as I like to call it. When if someone's occupying either stall or urinal, you're kind of forced to use the other one if that's what you need to do. But if you have your choice, you being a creature of habit, most people are, me included, do you use the same urinal each time in there, or do you rotate?
This is going to get very controversial. Here, the urinals are at different heights.
Correct.
So, yes, I use the same urinal every time.
What if somebody else was using it? Would you pee your pants or do the potty?
No, I'd go in the other one. But as weird as it sounds, maybe I can get backing on this. Even though I'm taller, I prefer the lower urinal because I feel like it's about to get really disgusting here. There's less splashback.
Well, I have to use the shorter one just because anatomically I have to use the lower one. I have no choice.
Sure.
It's a hell of a problem to have, if you know what I'm saying. Now, I could do a Wild Bill Bauer bit, but I won't. It's so good. It's just so funny. I'll do it to you off here. I think you'll like it.
Because there's certain urinal designs based on what restaurant you're at or what.
Have you ever seen the floor ones, the worst ones in the world that are built into the floor where you're actually, because then it just splashes all over your shoes. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Who came up with that idea? Bad bathroom design.
But even some of the aerodynamics of some of these urinals doesn't keep it all in there. It's like, what are we doing here? How did you not think of this?
You can get a catheter. That'd solve all your problems.
No!
They just showed the highlight package on ESPN of the Wolves. I didn't see it live. I just saw the last few minutes where they completely melted down. That was
the Lynx, you mean?
Lynx. What did I say?
Yeah, you said Wolves.
Wolves. That was bad to me.
It was 20-point lead with 5.5 left in the third.
And then, to squander it away late, and the major sticking points, we talked about them earlier. There was Wolves had the ball, Lynx had the ball, I don't know what, up 3 or whatever, 5, whatever it was. And they couldn't inbound the ball, and the player didn't call a timeout, nor did Cheryl Reeve. Reeve said in hindsight, no, that's a different one. She's talking about the foul. There was, Reeve said, I should have called a timeout there. I didn't call it in time, but the player could have always called it too, And then, as down 3, clock winding down under 11, 12 seconds, whatever, when the play started, the Neptunes are trying to get a shot off, right? They're down 3. And they tossed up an air ball, yet they retrieved the air ball. And Sammy Whitcomb hit her second try at a step-back three-pointer to tie the score with 3.4 seconds to go. Story from the Fish Wrap Factory West Side says Phoenix coach Nate Tibbetts admitted he thought the Lynx, being up by 3, would use their last foul to give on the play, but Minnesota held back, per Coach Cheryl Reeves' direction. Reeves said, in hindsight, I do like a foul there, but I didn't direct them to. And I don't know why, and nowhere in the story does it indicate there was a follow-up question. Her quote is, in hindsight, I do like a foul there, but I didn't direct them to. Well, why didn't you direct them to? Because that's almost, and maybe not in every case. I don't know. I'm not. It's just basketball is really not my cup of tea. But I think even somebody who has rudimentary knowledge of strategies in the game, I think that's. If you have that foul to give, you give it. There's no reason not to do it. I think in most cases they do, and I don't know why she decided not to do it. Now, that tied the game, so it went to OT, and they had a chance, at that point to turn the game around. But then somewhere in here, I don't know, I can't find it now. But, I mean, the Neptunes just went nuts. I mean, the Plutos or whatever, Mercury, as they're called.
The Mercury retrogrades. Yeah,
the retrogrades just took over the overtime. They got it to a large lead and they never looked back. And so now it's 1-1. And it's a best of 5, so makes it a league. You're a bit more squeamish when you lose one, right? Especially now you're tied at 1, and the next 2 are in Phoenix. But I don't know a whole heck of a lot about Phoenix, but I would think, day in, day out, game in, game out, the Lynx are a better club. Hell, they're the number 1 seed, right? So no reason for despair here. But when you do, and then there was the quote from one of the players. Was it Fee? I think it might have been Fee. Let me see.
We can't call her MB Fee anymore.
No.
She didn't win it.
Yeah, what happened there?
Asia Wilson, Las Vegas. They were on a roll. And I guess Fee was hurt for a while there, too.
Yeah, because in talking to people and reading things, it seemed like it was just a foregone conclusion that she was going to win. Do you think the league has it in for us? Remember, they had it in for us last year when
they hate us.
When the commissioners were wearing she was dressed as the Statue of Liberty at the game, for crying out loud. She was wearing the flowing robe, she had the crown, the whole thing, torch, everything. I mean, it's like they obviously wanted the Liberty. They wanted the Liberty to win the WNBA championship, so maybe now they've got it in for us this year as well. But
if we get to the WNBA final, she should just wear like a shirt that has like the spoon with the cherry on it.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be just a funny bit.
Yeah, I like that.
Back to the foul situation.
Yeah.
Now, I did not watch the game. I did see the highlight of that play. And I'm not going to act like I know all the exact details in terms of what time was on the clock when they started their possession. But it's a little easier to say, hey, we got a foul to give. We got to use it here when, let's say they're throwing the ball in with 6 seconds left and they throw it in and 3 seconds are off the clock. And then you can foul them and now they got to do another play in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
This one was more of a longer possession, I'm sure it was like a 20-second possession. They had a 3 that they missed originally. The Lynx were playing really good defense up to that point, like forcing them to move the ball around. And I think once you get to that point, like you can't just scream from the sidelines foul when it's kind of like a chaotic long possession.
That's right.
So I'm going to defend Cheryl a little bit. I don't think it was a no-brainer. Hey, use your foul here.
Okay. You probably understand, even though you're a hockey guy, I'll take your word for it.
Because you can't call timeout in the middle of it because they've got the ball.
I'm not in the hockey or basketball community. I'm not in either. I mildly enjoy both sports. I'm more of in the pickleball camp is where I'm at. I will say this. Fee said, Phoenix did a good job at coming out aggressive, meaning in the second half she was referring to. But I think we beat ourselves. Unforced turnovers, not taking care of the ball when they were pressuring us. not taking care of the ball when your pressure is because the other team is forcing you to do that. They have something to do about it. Now, again, but I think teams like to, it's the only way they can accept the loss and not playing well is they have to blame themselves. It can't be the other team. We must have done something wrong. And that's all right. I don't know if I've ever heard a player not. Every once in a while, players say it's all on us, but most of the time they just...
That being said, if you and I get bad ratings, it's typically our own fault.
Yeah.
Lack of preparation.
Yeah.
Lack of content.
Guilty.
We usually beat ourselves.
Yeah, we're guilty of that. I'm guilty. Barbara Streisand, very good. That's the only word I know. We'll break. We'll come back. That was another excellent segment, I thought. Regardless of what the program director has to say, I would just say, check the report card. That's what I do. Talk about straight A students. That would be 10 to be in common. We'll take a break, come back with more on the Common Rap program by the Fan.
Comedians Hassan Minaj and Ronnie Chang hate each other, and they're taking it public.
Whoa.
Catch Hassan Hates Ronnie, Ronnie Hates Hassan at the Orpheum Theater, Saturday, November 1st. Two comedy legends, one epic roast battle. Enter for your shot at a pair of tickets today at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
13:14 past. I'm Common. He is Tenneby. We talked yesterday, Tenneby, about MLB, Major League Baseball, has decided to implement robot ump next year.
Yeah.
Mike Randball writes about it in Fish Wrap Factory West Side today, and I agree with his opinion, his take, his synopsis. I don't think they went far enough. If you're going with robot ump, this idea, two challenges a game and this and that and the other thing, I've never, if the robot ump is as accurate as people believe that, in other words, if you make a challenge, you go to the robot and it can pick up things that the umpire misses. Randball has statistics here. Says baseball had an option that could have ensured virtually every ball strike call is correct, as opposed to the 94% accuracy rate of human umpires. So the umpires are right 94% of the time, which is a pretty good percentage, but that still means they're missing 6%. So every 100 pitches, they're missing 6. And if you only get to challenge 2, you challenge where they don't work, and then all of a sudden a key late in the, do you save them for late in the game? The old idea that a pitch early in the game counts as much as a pitch late in the game. A win early in the season counts as much as a win or loss late in the season. And they tried it in the minor leagues, right? Didn't they have where there would be somebody in the booth, the RoboCop would call it, and they would just, like Tenneby, you'd say you're behind the plate. All of a sudden, here's a windup and the pitch. And I go, ball. Strike, you have an earpiece, and you signal it. It worked pretty well from what I understand. I would have rather have gone that route, unless, because as Randball mentions in here, and we want to preserve the catcher's ability to frame pitches and steal strikes. Even though that's akin to rewarding rule bending, like which NHL players are best at taking dives or which NBA players can get away with the most subtle defensive clutching and grabbing. And I agree. If you're going to do it, I would just rather do it just go whole hog. He does mention in there, and this has been a debate about all reviews, right? Basketball, hockey, football and basketball seem to have more than any of the sports. Now even in football they have, what's it called? Now it's like,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the umpire in the booth, basically.
Yeah, just looks at it. There's no challenge has to be made. They just look at it, and they so then there's no. And part of Randball's logic, and I understand this, that it does slow down the game when you're challenging all the time. Mm-hmm. But I've always been. I don't even know what that cutoff is. Because there seems to be a relatively fine line. But I would rather get the call right, even if it means a slowdown in the game. I really would, because, one blown call can destroy a season if it comes at a most critical, especially if it's in postseason play and it comes as a critical time. That could completely change the game. And I get it. It's like, well, if you made a play earlier or later, you would have taken the call out of the referee's hands, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I don't mind instant replay reviews, getting it right to make sure. For instance, there was one in which game was it? It happens all the time. There was a catch. I don't know if it was the Lions game, Vikings game, a college game. They called it, I think, a complete pass on the sideline, but upon further review, you could see that his foot touched the sideline. Well, that's the right call then. And I know back in the olden days, that would have just been a boom, boom call, and there would be no review of it. And, football was fine. I mean, it thrived back then, but I don't mind reviews, and I would have gone full bore on the Robo Ump. You, or do you like just going?
I guess I would need to know how that would look, right? Like, is Robo Ump giving you absolute instant feedback, right? When they're challenging it, it takes, we are still taking another extra 15, 20 seconds, right?
Here's what he wrote. When they tried it in the minor leagues, it was seamless and instantaneous, with the ball strike immediately sent to the home plate umpire's earpiece for him or her to announce. He said it was seamless. That's what he's saying. Now, I wasn't there, but apparently it's like I just said to you, the ball comes in and they go, strike, ball, strike, and they know it immediately. So he said it was instantaneous and seamless.
My guess is maybe this is just like a way to transition to it eventually. It's easier to make one step to the next and then go to the next, as opposed to just completely making the big leap. I do think, I'll use my sport of hockey, and here I'm about to upset the old school hockey people again, right?
Right.
If they wanted to eliminate fighting from the National Hockey League, they couldn't.
Yeah.
And they partially do for the concussion purposes, but they don't from an entertainment standpoint.
Yeah.
And they know fans love to watch it, and that if they're at a sports bar and a fight comes on, all of a sudden their eyes are all going to go to the screen, right? There's a big piece of the fan base that wants to watch fighting, so they don't want to get rid of it. Even in baseball, it doesn't happen as much as these. Fans love when the manager walks out and starts yelling at the umpires and starts kicking dirt on his shoes and throws his hat on the ground, right? Fans love that stuff. They eat it up. It gets social media clicks.
That's controversial, but I think you're right.
So they want to partially keep that human element in it because it's entertaining.
Squeeze in a phone call from Warren. Warren, you're on the Fan.
Hi. Did you guys notice anything I said about the early part of the season about the offensive line?
I guess I really wasn't paying that close attention to what you were saying.
That's why you don't listen.
Warren, stop. Just stop for a second.
What?
I wasn't listening to what you were saying because I was waiting for my turn to talk. Now go ahead.
Okay. I said that one of the biggest problems the Vikings team will have will be their offensive line. I think it was pretty
good this past Sunday.
Well, the problem you got is you got a lot of injuries occurring right now.
They're all coming back.
This is going to get worse. This is going to get worse because of the guys that they got. They're going to. Well, look at the rookie. He's down now, and I think he's going to be down maybe for longer than they think. Now, if they would have had a guy like Bradbury still on the roster, they could have used that guard. They also could have used him in the tight end position when they needed a big package in the backfield, which they said on. They've been saying all along, Minnesota Vikings are one of the only teams that don't use a big lineman or somebody that they could bring in.
You know what else they could have used? They could have used them on the kickoff and punt return teams too.
Well, I'm saying you got a guy like Bradbury. You know he's playing for New England this year. You know what his pass protection rating is?
What is it?
Now 90% higher than any Minnesota Viking offensive lineman there. And they didn't pick up Keenan Allen, who right now is playing better than any Minnesota Viking receiver. He's a Hall of Famer who's healthy. These are the type of mistakes that the Vikings make. Now, if they would have made proper, Sheriff, the guy that was available from Jacksonville, who's almost a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, he decided to retire because he'd never got a fair offer in the offseason. If they would have signed a guy like that,
I think what you're trying to say is this Viking team is being mismanaged from the front office.
Well, here, I'll give you one quick point here.
Well,
Minnesota Vikings.
Are you saying that the Vikings are being mismanaged in the front office? Just yes or no?
I'm saying here's a scary situation. You got two different types of people that are making personnel decisions in the draft. The Minnesota Vikings have more free agent rookies on the roster than any team in the NFL. So what I'm saying is, there's a group of people making the free agent calls or low-round draft choice calls, and it's very obvious because they're making the roster. You got guys in the front who are making the big decisions that are making those decisions, and you got the fewest amount of those players in the NFL, I think in the history of the league, making the roster.
All right.
And here's the one thing that the Vikings would have been better off doing.
Quickly.
They should have got rid of all their high-end draft choices, went from the 5th round down and piled those picks up.
Okay, Rick.
Whoever's making those decisions made those decisions. Do you realize the Vikings would have had a better roster than what they have right now?
All right, thanks, Warren. I don't believe that, but Rick Spielman tried that. A lot of 6th and 7th round picks, and look where that got him.
By the way, on the offensive line take, what did Warren think of the offensive line last week?
That's what I said to him.
Pretty good.
Well, that's what I said to him.
What was the difference?
I said to him, I said, what did you think of the offensive line last week? And he said, well, they're still injured. And I'm, well, no, they're not. They're coming back.
Their best offensive lineman played last week, and he made a big difference.
I think what Warren wanted to do was he wanted to try to get people going is what he wanted to do. We'll take a break. We'll come back. One more segment to go. It's the Common Man program here on the Fan.
Join KFAN's Justin Gard Sunday morning at Gray's Food Hall for Kegs and Eggs. Drop by starting at 8:30 a.m. to catch the Purple as they play their first game in Ireland against Pittsburgh. Plus, enjoy great food and your shot to win awesome prizes. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Final segment of the Grum for today. Tomorrow is a Boys Day. Legendary Mark Rosen back at 1:30. He's in a half hour early because Spread Swing, Deuce, my firstborn, Rosen, Common, and Tennessee will participate in that. There'll be plenty of laughs, trust me. Brian Oak, did you establish with him that I need him at 12:30?
12:30.
Yeah,
yes.
So okay, yeah, because and
he'll be here.
It's my show, and I don't even know what time the segments start or what segments we even have, but that's a whole other story in itself. This text message came in on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. It says they need to keep someone behind the plate for all the plays at the plate. I realize that. They're not. When they experimented with a Robo Ump calling every single ball and strike, they had someone behind the plate for that specific reason. Plus, you still want somebody there to go, strike, ball, strike. So you would have the umpire there. He has an earpiece, and then the umpire is there for calling plays at the plate, or if there's a dribbler down the line against the home plate. I think usually it's a third or first base umpire that calls fair or foul.
Catcher's interference when the pitcher needs to have time, batter needs to have time.
So we know that they're not talking about if they go to the Robo Ump for every single pitcher, not going to remove the umpire from behind the plate. That's not going to happen. They say things come in threes, Tennessee. Legendary Montreal Canadian goaltender Kenny Dryden passed away about 3 weeks ago. He was the goaltender that I patterned my goaltending after.
Sure.
And, you've seen me play boot before. You could probably see some Kenny Dryden. You probably thought, the way he tends goal is very familiar to me. And yes, people would immediately go, aha, he looks just like Kenny Dryden. Then about a week ago, Legendary New York Rangers goaltender Eddie Giacomin passed away. And then I saw this story today, Tennessee. Bernie Parent, the Hall of Famer, considered one of the great goalies of all time, who anchored the net for the Philadelphia Flyers' only 2 Stanley Cup championships in the 1970s during their Broad Street Bullies heyday, has died. He was 80 years old. Flyers made the announcement Sunday, provided no details. He died overnight in his sleep, according to former teammate Joe Watson. Watson, who was a star defenseman on the Stanley Cup team, said by phone that he saw Parent and other former players at a function Friday night in Delaware. I guess Bernie had a bad back. He says, Bernie was in such pain he could barely walk. We had a great time, but I felt bad because he was in such terrible pain. To see this happen is very sad. His steel-eyed stare through his old-school hockey mask landed him on the cover of Time magazine in 1975, when the Flyers reigned as one of the marquee teams in sports. He won Stanley Cup, Conn Smythe, and Vezina trophies in back-to-back season with the Flyers when they captured the Stanley Cup in 74 and 75. He was held. That was when I did pay attention to hockey. That was the last time I paid close attention to hockey, was back in those days, back in the late 60s, throughout the 70s, and then early 80s. And I kind of, I don't want to say I became disenchanted with the game. You get older, you have other interests. Sure. It's sort of like, your taste change as you get older. Like, there was a time I didn't like spankings.
I always love that one.
Copyright Wild Bill Bauer. That's not the other Wild Bill Bauer joke I had for you. Yeah, so these guys were all sort of there in that, that same era. Eddie Giacomin played for the New York Rangers. Now, I don't think the Rangers had as much success as the Canadiens did under Dryden. And the Broad Street Bullies had with Bernie Parent, but still, Giacomin died at age 86. Died of natural causes. He won the Vezina Trophy as the league's top goalie in 1970 and 71, and backstopped New York to the Stanley Cup final in 72. So, tend to be 3 goaltenders, just like that. Boom, boom, boom.
It's no good.
No, but they always say things happen in threes. We talk about list radio, lazy radio. It's our favorite. It's my favorite thing to do. The NFL power rankings were released. Power rankings. Where do you rank? Oh, you know what I missed more today than anything? Rock rank. But tomorrow
at 12:30.
Tomorrow 12:30 will be rock rank. I just love them because we talked about this, where teams just. I preface the power rankings every time we take a glance at them with, you're right, Tennessee, the real power rankings are the standings. But Philadelphia Eagles are ranked as the number 1 team in pro football. And you know what? Until they are no longer the defending big game world champions and they continue to win, I guess you have to keep them on top of there. What I like is, this is the Athletics power rankings. What I like even more than the rankings themselves is they always have a little, I don't know what to call it. Here's what I say. They always have a little twist to it. It says, so this week, the power rankings will be gauging how confident each team should be in its quarterback situation looking ahead to week 4. And the reason they did this was because there were several quarterbacks that came in and played well, or hadn't played well earlier and suddenly did, including Caleb Williams, right? Danny Dimes has played well. There's been a lot of quarterbacks doing the things they've never done to make them good. Philadelphia Eagles at number 1. You know what their QB confidence is, Tennessee? cold-blooded confidence is what it says. Buffalo Bills, they are the number 2 ranked team in the power rankings. They are 3-0. Quarterback confidence, could it be any higher? And I don't know how it could. Josh Allen does seem to be at...
Might be the best quarterback in football.
Yeah, he's playing at the peak of... He's right now peaking. I don't know how long that peak's going to be. Is it going to be, 1 season, 2, 3? I don't know. But right now he's playing as good as any quarterback in pro football. L.A. Chargers, also 3-0. They've jumped to the
San Diego Supercharger.
They've jumped to the number 3 spot in the power rankings. Their quarterback confidence, you know what the word they use? Skyrocketing.
Ooh.
And it should. Because you and I think we've both liked Herbert and his skill set, but there always seemed to be
something missing.
Whether it was him,
his supporting
cast, the offensive line coordinator, coach, whatever the case may be. But he's again playing as well as any quarterback. He's probably right up there with Josh Allen. 49ers were ranked 9th last week. They've jumped to number 4. Quarterback confidence, fine, if healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
They've had to go to Mac Jones.
Detroit Lions go from 6 to number 5.
Ooh.
And here's what it says about their QB confidence. Ben Johnson, who?
Ooh.
And, we had discussed that all along. And I think I nailed it. I used the longer trumpet sound there because we're trying to kill more time. When discussing the departure of Ben Johnson from Detroit as their defensive coordinator to the head coach of the Bears, and Aaron Glenn's exit as the Kitties' D coordinator to the head coach of the New York Football Jets, there were those that went with, oh boy, lose those 2 guys, we'll see what happens. And after week 1, both offensively and defensively, the Kitties at Curly left a lot to be desired. And there were those that said, there you go. That's proof positive. And I did the whoa, 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 whoa. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. And I went back with that cliche of coaches coach, players play. And while I would never deny that coordinators make a difference, that offense, now, maybe it was because Green Bay came out of the gates playing really well. Maybe their defense is a really good defense. And maybe they are missing something from without the coordinators. But they rung up 52 on the Bears, and what they scored the other night against the Ravens was a 31-34, whatever it was. And their offense put together, this had never happened to the Ravens since, I think, 2000 or 2002 or something. The Lions not only had one 90-yard plus touchdown drive, they had 2. They had like a 98 and a 96. That's physical football. That's dominating the trenches. And that's putting together that first drive, the 94-yard or 92, whatever it was, a 98-yard.
Yeah.
That took up over 10 minutes of game time. It was like a 16-play drive. That's what takes the will out of another team. So would the Lions be better off with Benjamin? Maybe they would, but they sure didn't look they haven't looked too bad offensively or defensively the past couple of weeks. Tampa Bay at number 6 at 3-0. Their quarterback confidence tend to be
clutch,
full of swagger.
Ooh, yeah.
He does seem to have some swagger.
He's got a little bit of that, yeah.
He's got a little bit of that. And I'm already, especially every time Mayfield, have you ever seen him when he throws a tutty, he does that money thing where he takes his thumb and his fingers and he rubs them together?
Yeah.
Yeah. They call him Money Mayfield. That's what they call him. Green Bay Packers. They were number 1 last week, tend to be. They've dropped to 7 after losing to the Browns. Their quarterback confidence says, great when Jim Schwartz isn't around. Because apparently Jimmy Schwartz has his number. Indianapolis Colts are at number 8, 3-0. Their quarterback confidence, tend to be, is Daniel Jones, the new Sam Darnold.
Ooh.
Sort of looks that way, doesn't it?
They both got to work with KOC last year.
He had a really nice start to the season. Now, again, have the Colts really played anybody?
I mean, Denver's solid.
Yeah, Denver's a solid club. Yeah.
I mean, their other two games, but I don't care who you're playing. If you're playing any NFL team and you're putting up 40 in 3 straight weeks.
Yes.
I did see a stat today, and I don't have it on me right now, that basically Daniel Jones went from last year being one of the worst quarterbacks in the league against the blitz, like bottom 5, to now this year he's top 5 in the NFL against the blitz. And I don't know what changed that.
Well, change coaching. They got a quarterback whisperer in Indianapolis, apparently.
Shane Steichen, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do we know about Shane Steichen? Was he a former quarterback?
I don't know.
I think he was. Isn't that funny? Shane Steichen, former quarterback. Who's their quarterback coach? Do they have a quarterback whisperer in Indianapolis? LA Rams at number 9. They dropped from 7. They're 2-1. They lost to the Eagles. And that was a game that was theirs. I mean, they had 26-7 lead.
Something called Cameron Turner is the Colts quarterback coach.
The Rams they blew a golden opportunity. It's going to be 26-7 lead, never scored another point in the second half. Their quarterback confidence, high if Stafford's back is okay. Ravens at number 10. Despite the fact that they're 1-2, they dropped from the number 5 spot. Their quarterback confidence, high, of course, but is there enough help? Does he need more help, Teneby? I think you indicated to me that they, wide receiver-wise, they leave a little bit to be desired, right?
The Rams?
No,
I'm sorry.
We've moved on. We're talking Ravens now.
Oh, Ravens, yes. Zay Flowers had a good first game week 1 and hasn't done much since then. They did get Mark Andrews going a little bit last week, but he gets struggled the first 2 games. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is aging. Rashad Bateman, one of us, former University of Minnesota, he's just meh. So yeah, I mean, they don't have elite weapons, but a lot of that is just because they have so much in the run game. That's where they invest their resources. Commanders
stayed right where they were last week at 11. They're 2-1. Their quarterback confidence, just let Jaden Daniels get healthy, and that's what they need. Chiefs at 12. They were 13 last week. They went up a notch. They're now 1-2. They won their first game.
Well, Chiefs Ravens play this week. One of those two teams is going to be 1-3.
Yeah. And my guess is you look at the stats of how many 1-3 teams make postseason play. Probably not many. Quarterback confidence, just waiting on reinforcements in Kansas City. Just waiting on reinforcements.
I think Xavier Worthy's getting closer to get back, but we still got 3 games of suspension for Rashee Rice.
Seattle Seahawks go from 15 to 13, Teneby. You know what their quarterback confidence is, according to The Athletic? Cautiously optimistic.
Oh my gosh.
Sammy Darnold.
Above average at that.
Cautiously optimistic. And that is the way you kind of have to look at Sam Darnold, I guess, when you look at those 2 games at the end of the season.
He's off to a solid start.
And here comes the idolization and pedestalization of Kevin O'Connell. Vikings go from 22 to 14, are now 2-1. Quarterback confidence.
We're coming.
Doesn't matter. I'm not making this up. I'm going to read what's been wrote. And here's what it says. Kevin O'Connell picked up Carson Wentz 4 weeks ago, and even with limited practice reps and basically no training camp, Wentz guided the Vikings to a blowout win while throwing for 2 tutties and averaging 8.7 yards per pass. At this point, it would be fun to see which quarterback you could drop onto this roster with O'Connell and still win a game. Doesn't matter who it is. You could bring Joe Namath out of retirement. Joe's, 80 years old? Put him back there. Am I the only...
You could put Justin Gard out there.
You could
win games with him.
Am I the only one that... I think I'm the only person that thinks this quarterback whisperer stuff is overblown. And I'm not saying that he isn't a good quarterback coach and he doesn't know the position, that he's good at getting the most out of guys. But to say that, does it really matter? Anybody? So why do any of us even care if it's McCarthy or Wentz? It could be Bros, it doesn't matter. If all of them get hurt, we'll pick somebody up from the scrap heap, we'll call a guy and get him out of retirement, and he'll be brilliant.
I think the year Cousins went out, when it was Josh Dobbs and it was... I can't even remember their names anymore. Mullins. You had the other guy who was like we drafted in the 5th round and played for a couple games. I do think a guy like KFC can coach players up, but there does come to a point where you do have to have talent and you still have to be able to process NFL football.
That's what I'm saying. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He does a fine job, but the idea that it doesn't matter. But you get a reputation, whether it's warranted or not. People just run with it. Like people say I'm a gadfly. I guess I am. I guess that is warranted. People say I'm a wet blanket. Yeah. People say I'm lazy. People say I'm crazy. Then there's 10 to be. Ruining the day, he approached me just over 20 years ago and said, I know there's an opening as the producer of your show and I'd like to apply for it.
You've got to be kidding me.
Just think if you would have been sick that day and I hired somebody else, who knows what you'd be doing right now? Be working for the Wild, that
sounds great.
Your life and career could have gone in a totally different direction, but you're stuck with me now.
I'd be on the World Poker Tour right now.
Yeah.
But
here you are.
Got on the other fork in the road.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. Oak tomorrow, 12:30. Spread swing at 1:30. Rosen 2 until 3. We enjoyed our visit, but stick around. Don't go. Don't touch that dial. Big Ticket JG there next year on the phone.
Good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
Timberwolves superfan KFAN Stan Barrero.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.